Hi, and welcome back to yet another exciting week of the Lazy Money Game. It has been a truly astonishing week since I have received a lot of news and some of them heavily affect my portfolio. So if we start by the most important news regarding the portfolio, then it is by far the email that I have received from Revolut, which all other Revolut account holders have received as well, since Revolut is going to update their prices as of 1st of March this year. Next on the agenda, I'm going to cover the latest news regarding GME, since we had the congressional hearing within this week. So we saw the testimony from Keith Gill, aka Deep Fucking Value, aka the Roaring Kitty, and the testimony from the CEO of Robinhood and the CEO of Interactive Brokers. And as of Friday, I saw a very interesting lecture from Lasse Pedersen from CBS, Copenhagen Business School, in joint venture with Princeton University. That presentation is actually publicly available through Princeton University's YouTube channel. I will of course leave a link in the description below. It's a video of 1 hour and 15 minutes. Perhaps it is a bit too technical for a lot of viewers on this channel, but nonetheless I think it is very important for me to at least share some of the research that some of these finance professors has done, because they're really looking into the data, and I actually find that quite interesting. Next on the agenda, I have the latest purchases from Berkshire Hathaway, since that has now finally been revealed after Berkshire Hathaway has asked for a postponement of their 13F filing, meaning that they were actually capable of hiding what they have purchased for an additional 45 days due to this exemption rule saying if we reveal what we are currently purchasing and we are not done doing the purchases, then that would affect the market too much. So hence it was quite interesting to see there has been a lot of rumors and speculations in the market about what Berkshire Hathaway would actually buy and why there was all this mystery around it. And finally, I'm going to give an update on my portfolio, since it is heavily affected by the latest updates from Revolut, or at least I have decided to act on that information, which heavily affects my portfolio. So let's start by looking at the latest updates from Revolut. Unfortunately, the email that I have received is in Danish, so for me to present it, I think it makes more sense that I actually go into their webpage, where you can see the text here is actually in English, so it's a better service for you as a viewer, since you can read along if you don't want to listen to me. But what they are changing is, currently you're allowed to do 3 commission-free trades per month with a standard subscription, and you could do 3 with the Plus and 8 with the Premium, and unlimited with the Metal user. And then there was this annual custody fee of 0.01%, but from 1st of March they are lowering the amount of trades which you can do commission free. So now with the standard subscription you can only do 1 commission free trade per month, and at the same time they are increasing the custody fee from 0.01% to 0.12%, meaning they are multiplying their fee by a factor of 12. This is simply absurd. I know that in actual dollar values, since my portfolio had around $83,000 invested on Revolut, I was paying around 70 cents per month to using Revolut with the old commission, and now I would pay around 8. So you can say in actual dollar values, well, is that too significant? Well, the whole reason for why I went with Revolut in the first place was that it was really, really cheap, and I didn't care too much that the service was perhaps not the best. But when you're seeing this, they're increasing the custody fee by a factor of 12, and effectively, if you can only do 1 commission-free trade per month, you don't really have the flexibility which you would like to have. So for me, there's simply no point of using them when they're doing a thing like this, and especially this thing that you only get a 14 days notice. And if you didn't think that was bad enough, well, when it comes to just using Revolut, currently with the standard subscription you were allowed to withdraw 1500 Danish kroner from your ATM, But what they're now introducing is that you can now only do a maximum of 5 withdrawals or a maximum of 1500, whatever comes first, and after that there will be a 2% charge with a minimum fee of 10 Danish kroner, meaning they are simply just lowering your flexibility and giving you a worse offer. So I have of course decided to act on this price update from Revolut, but I will tell you more about that in detail when we come to the portfolio update. So let's continue with the latest news regarding GME. So on Thursday, Keith Gill gave his testimony to the Congress, and if you haven't seen it, then I highly suggest that you go and spend the 5 minutes on watching this, because he spends time on saying stuff like, "I'm not a kiddie," and then he shared his thesis for why he bought GameStop and why he thought it was heavily undervalued, and with the recent share price, he clearly demonstrates that he was right in his thesis. And if you have an additional 5 minutes to spare, then I would suggest that you watch this clip as well, because that is the next one from CNBC, where he explains why he bought it when he is asked about what he thought the company was worth when he initially bought it, and how he positioned himself according to this short squeeze. But what I find truly hilarious is, since he was asked to give his testimony to the Congress, there haven't been these daily updates from Keith Gill where he was stating that he was still holding his GME stocks. But as of Friday, he posted this on Wall Street Bets, and as you can see, it was quite popular since almost 200,000 people has given an upvote. And what he has done is he has doubled down on his position, meaning that he has bought an additional 50,000 shares in GME. So he truly believes in this company. And if you want to have a more theoretical view of the whole GameStop situation, then I highly suggest that you go and watch this presentation from Lasse Pedersen, which was made public on Friday evening. It was actually brought as a live webcast on this Princeton Bentheim Center for Finance Institutions YouTube channel. And here there are a lot of technical details and much more background history and data. I'm not going to go into detail for that, because that will simply take too long of my video to do that. But if you are interested in, for instance, understanding why Robinhood had to shut down their users from trading more due to the increased level of volatility, meaning that they were forced to have more margin on their accounts, then I highly suggest that you view this video. But if you're interested in knowing more about these technical details, but you don't want to spend an hour and 15 minutes hearing it from a professor who perhaps use a too technical language, then please let me know that in the comments down below, because then I will of course try and make a video and make it more easy to understand, but that is only if you actually want to see it, because it takes quite some time to make. If we then continue with Berkshire Hathaway's latest purchases and latest sells, then we can see here that Berkshire has trimmed their position in Apple, so now they have 887 million shares instead of 944 million, so still by far the largest holding within Berkshire Hathaway. And you can see here that they have halved the stocks in Wells Fargo. They have added a completely new position in Verizon Communications and in Chevron, and then they have added a new position in Marsh & McLennan, an insurance company as well. Then they have exited Barrick Gold, which they bought earlier in 2020, so they have had the stock for around a year. I believe I actually made an episode where I said Berkshire Hathaway has bought gold, and not really referring to physical gold, but the gold mining company. They have sold all the stocks in Pfizer. They have sold their stocks in M&T Bank and in JP Morgan Chase. Then they have boosted their stake in Kroger. They have bought more shares in Merck and in AbbVie and in Bristol Myers. So really adding to these pharmaceutical shares. But as an overall conclusion, I think the shares which people were most surprised about was to see these new positions, especially in Verizon and Chevron. So Buffett once again does what he does best, namely value investing. So he is investing into companies which are currently not too favored by the public, hence they are sold at a cheaper value than what you're seeing the market is currently trading at. So I'm really happy to see that he, for instance, has bought into Verizon and to AbbVie and to Bristol Myers, since that is positions in my portfolio, or at least it was until we hit this weekend. So that was a lot of news within a single week. And most important is, of course, this price update from Revolut, because that has put me to do a lot of changes in my portfolio, as you can see here. And when you take a look at the cost here and the value, then you can see that I have actually been selling out a lot of stocks. I'm not going to sit by and passively wait for Revolut to incur 12 times higher custodial fees for me as a user. So what I did was I signed up for a metal subscription so I can start selling a lot of my positions, so I'm not limited to doing one free commission-free trade every single month, and then only being capable of moving 7,500 Danish kroner out of Revolut. So I have decided to go and sell a lot of stocks, as you can see here, since the cost of the stocks which I have sold for was $29,500, and the value that they represent when I sold them was actually $36,000. So if we scroll up here, now that is why you can see that there is not a lot of companies left in the portfolio which is actually in positive territory. I decided to liquidate most of the stocks in the portfolio which were in positive value, simply because I want to extract my money from Revolut at least to a high enough degree so I won't be stuck with the high fees. So essentially I'm simply just lowering my invested amount with Revolut to lower the custodial fees that I have to pay, but at the same time I don't want to sell on too big of losses. So the stocks which I currently have on Revolut, I don't want to sell everything in one go, because if I now time the market completely wrongly, then I will once again lose out on a lot of gains. Hence you have to do it, you can say, a bit more intelligent and not sell everything in one go, even though you could argue that I have sold a lot in one go. So that's always the ups and downs that you have to weigh on the scale when you decide what to do. And just to take a closer look at the companies which I have sold, then you can see here in the history tab, since I have added, so I have exited my positions in Ford, in Starbucks, in JP Morgan, in AbbVie, in Unum, in Beatrice, in 3M, in Synchrony Financials, in International Paper, and in AT&T. Of course, this comes with a cost, but when I look to what Revolut have just done here, then I really just want to lower my exposure to this company, because I simply do not like the service that they are selling with the recent update. So I'm willing to pay to get out much faster, because otherwise I would be stuck here for at least 8 years. I would actually estimate, if I could only sell for around $1,000 every single month and exchange that into Danish and extract it. An obvious point to ask is, of course, am I going to invest in exactly the same companies as I have just sold out of? Well, there will probably be a lot of them which I will invest in again, but perhaps I'm willing to wait a little to see if the prices actually drops, since some companies are quite expensive currently. So time will simply have to show. I cannot promise anything here about what I'm going to do. I'd rather show what I have decided to do and then answer questions about why I decided to do it when I have done it, as I have mentioned earlier. So this of course brings out a very important point here, because if you look to my guidelines, when do I actually want to sell stocks? I want to sell them if I don't believe in the company, or if I think that they are simply too highly valued. But what I have done here is a reason which I haven't mentioned at all, is if you actually lose faith in the broker that you are using. And that is why it is really, really crucial to go with a broker to which you have faith in, because otherwise you end up in this rather unfortunate situation that I'm in here. And for me, there was no choice. I really wanted to lower my exposure to this company, because when you start to treat your customers like this, then that's not a business that I want to be a part of. And I know you can actually say in dollar values, well, you are simply leaving a company because you have to, instead of paying 70 cents a month, now you have to pay $8. And I would say yes, because that was not what I signed up for. But one point which I hopefully think is somewhat clear from my guidelines is I'm not selling all the companies which I have huge losses on, for instance, Carnival Corporations, just because the broker is doing this with increasing their fees. I mean, I have time to wait, I just don't have time to wait with all my money invested here. So I'm simply lowering my capital base and paying a cost for that. But I do not want to be in a position where I am forced to sell. Hence, it's still me who decides whether I want to sell or whether I want to stay. So I'm trying to do this a bit more intelligently, or at least that is how I interpret it. So that was a lot of changes within the portfolio, and not to lose track of how the portfolio is actually doing, you could see that there was a green circle for this week's episode, meaning that the portfolio is up in value compared to last week. And if we go to the portfolio values tab here, then you can see that the portfolio has actually increased $1,300 compared to last week. And if we go to my favorites tab, namely the dividends tab, then you can see that this has been a truly astonishing week for me. Since my biggest dividend payer, AbbVie, has paid a little more than $120, then I received a little more than $20 from Synchrony Financials and a little less than $4 from Realty Income Corp, bringing the total dividends for this month so far up to $373. I mean, this is truly amazing. But one thing that you immediately notice over here is the yearly estimated income in dividends has now dropped below $2,000 since I have sold out of all of these companies. Of course, this number will go up once I reinvest my money, and I very much intend to do so. It just takes some time because there's this settlement lag, meaning once you have sold a stock on Revolut, then the money is on your investment account, but it takes 2 days to settle before you can actually extract it from the investment account and then exchange it and then move it. So it will take me some time to invest the money, but that simply just gives me an opportunity to tell you more about what I'm going to invest in the future once I have done that investment. So once again, that was truly an exciting week on the stock market. I mean, just this news alone with Revolut could have made a whole episode for me, since it has such a dramatic impact of what I have decided to do. But I mean, when I saw this testimony from Keith Gill, it was simply too interesting for me not to mention, and especially when I then saw on Friday that he has made this new post and actually doubled down on the stock. I mean, he really liked that stock for sure. And I mean, it was also quite interesting for me to see what Berkshire Hathaway has been doing within the last couple of months, especially since there was so much mystery and so much rumors about what he had bought. So what was the biggest surprise for you to see here? I mean, was it this update from Revolut? Was it that Keith Gill really believed that he has diamond hands, or that he actually said to the Congress that he is not a kitty? I mean, there was so many good things you could actually talk about and highlight. So please let me know in the comments down below what you think. And until I see you next Sunday, bye!